Every morning at exactly 7:05, a small gray cat would quietly walk through the rusted gates of an old cemetery. Same path. Same grave. Same haunting silence. She wore no collar. She had no leash. She wasn't called, yet she came. Not for food. Not for attention. But for love. That grave wasn't just a resting place, it was her world. The final home of the only human she ever loved. And even though years had passed, she never missed a single morning. Rain soaked her fur. Snow numbed her paws. Yet, she waited, always in the same spot. Locals began calling her the grave guardian. But she wasn't protecting the stone, she was protecting a bond. A love that even death couldn't bury. When her story finally reached the internet, millions cried. Because deep down, we all saw ourselves in her, grieving, remembering, hoping. This isn't fiction. This isn't fantasy. Tilda wasn't born into a loving home. She was found abandoned in a box near a park bench, weak and meowing for help. That's when an elderly man named Harold noticed her during his morning walk. Harold was a quiet man. A retired librarian who lived alone after losing his wife 10 years earlier. His house was small, his routine simple, and his heart, though wounded, was kind. He saw the tiny kitten, skin clinging to bone, and without hesitation, scooped her up. He didn't ask questions. He didn't plan to see if anyone claimed her. He just took her home. He named her Tilda, after the name of a character from one of his favorite poems. And from that moment, she became his world. Tilda followed Harold everywhere, from the kitchen to the garden, from the armchair to the front porch. They ate together, napped together, and in the evenings, Harold would read aloud while Tilda lay across his lap, her purrs matching the rhythm of his voice. Neighbors would often chuckle and say, "That cat owns him now." And maybe she did. But what Harold gave Tilda was something no one else had ever given her. A home. A name. A place to belong. Tilda quickly became a part of Harold's every routine. In the morning, she would scratch gently at his door to wake him up. As Harold made tea, she'd sit by his feet. During breakfast, she'd wait patiently on the windowsill, staring out into the garden while the old man sipped from his chipped blue mug. They would spend hours together. In the garden, Harold would tend to his roses while Tilda chased butterflies. In the winter, they'd sit beside the fireplace, her tiny body curled against his warmth. Harold even made her a small pillow next to his armchair and taught her to stay off the kitchen counters, which she mostly obeyed, unless tuna was involved. But what mattered most wasn't what they did, it was what they meant to each other. For Harold, Tilda filled a quietness he had accepted but never loved. For Tilda, Harold was her safety, her rescuer, her comfort, her world. Friends would visit occasionally and joke that Harold talked to Tilda like she was a person. He didn't mind. "She listens better than most people I know," he'd say with a grin. They weren't just man and pet. They were companions, two souls healing together. One chilly morning in late autumn, Tilda scratched at Harold's door as usual. But this time, no response. She scratched again. Waited. Then meowed softly. The door remained shut. Inside, Harold had passed away in his sleep. Peacefully. Silently. A book still resting on his chest. He never felt the pain. But the silence that followed was loud. The neighbors noticed when the lights didn't come on that night. An ambulance came. So did a few relatives from out of town. His house, once full of quiet peace, became filled with whispers, shuffling, and sadness. Tilda sat by the door, confused and anxious. She darted through legs, climbed onto chairs, and searched every room. She waited by Harold's reading chair. She meowed beside his slippers. But he never came back. After the relatives left, the house was locked up. Tilda was placed with a neighbor who agreed to feed her, but she refused to stay indoors. Every morning, as the sun rose, Tilda would slip away from the backyard and vanish down the road. At first, no one knew where she went. But then, someone followed her. Tilda's grief didn't look like crying or wailing. It was quiet, painful, steady. Every day at dawn, she would walk the same path Harold used to take on his morning walks, down the old road, past the bakery, through the gates of the town cemetery. She'd find Harold's grave, the one with the stone that read, "Harold Green, a gentle soul, forever loved." And she would sit. Sometimes for an hour. Sometimes until sunset. Rain. Snow. Wind. Nothing stopped her. She didn't cry. She didn't meow. She just waited. Some said she was confused. Others believed she was mourning in the only way she knew how. But everyone who saw her felt something stir inside their chest. The first time someone saw her at the cemetery, they thought she was lost. It was a florist named Emma, who came early to prepare arrangements for a nearby service. She noticed a small, quiet cat sitting by a gravestone, unmoving. She tried to approach. But the cat, while not afraid, didn't respond. Emma looked at the grave, and realized it was Harold Green's. She remembered him well. He used to buy flowers for his wife's grave, always with that same gentle smile. It struck her. "That's his cat," she whispered to herself. She sat nearby and watched. Tilda didn't budge. She just stayed, eyes fixed forward, tail wrapped tightly around her paws. Emma left her some food, which Tilda ignored until she was alone again. The next day, she returned, and so did Tilda. Day after day, the pattern repeated. That's when the town began to notice. Tilda's daily pilgrimage became a part of the town's rhythm. Children on their way to school would pause at the cemetery fence, peeking through the iron bars just to catch a glimpse of her. The groundskeeper, Mr. Lorne, began leaving out a small towel during the rain, so she wouldn't have to sit on the wet earth. Florists, mourners, and joggers all began to recognize the little gray cat with sad eyes. People shared photos on social media. The caption read, "This cat visits the same grave every single day. Her owner passed away 2 years ago." Soon, the story reached farther than the small town. News reporters came. Animal lovers cried. Strangers sent flowers to Harold's grave. But none of it was for attention. Tilda didn't know she was famous. She just came for Harold. Always at the same time. Always in the same way. One day, an elderly woman left a note near the grave. It read, "You must have loved him very much. And he must have loved you even more." For some, Tilda became a reminder of the beauty in loyalty. For others, she was a symbol of grief that had no words. Even those who never knew Harold began visiting his grave, just to sit with her for a few moments. One child told his mother, "That cat is guarding him." And perhaps she was. Local authorities allowed Tilda to roam the cemetery grounds freely. No one ever shooed her away. She belonged there now. She didn't cause harm. She only reminded people what love really looked like. Tilda didn't understand death the way humans do. She didn't go to therapy. She didn't talk about her feelings. She simply showed up. Every single day. And in doing so, she taught an entire town, and eventually the world, about loyalty, grief, and love that transcends even the final goodbye. Tilda wasn't just waiting. She was remembering, honoring, and holding on to a bond that no grave could bury. After nearly 6 years of daily visits, Tilda passed away quietly under a tree near Harold's grave. The cemetery staff buried her in a small corner nearby, under a stone that reads, "Tilda, faithful friend. Forever watching." Her story lives on, in photos, in memories, and in the hearts of those who witnessed something truly rare. Because sometimes, love doesn't need words. Sometimes, the quietest goodbyes are the loudest. And sometimes, it's a cat with 4 paws and a broken heart, who reminds us how deep the human-animal bond can go. So the next time you pass by an animal sitting silently, don't look away. You might be witnessing a story of love you'll never forget.